British Petroleum, and then I started my career in Schlumberger. I am passionate for coffee, so that's the first thing that I asked. Coffee, coffee, coffee.
You should have gotten your menu.
Yes.
Sorry, next time.
I like Azerbaijani coffee, by the way. I really like it, so it is good. And actually, I think that for me and family is where I go. What can I say? So actually, Maria is like one of you. I have been in a university trying to search my path in my career. I have been manager in one of the companies in the world that you know very well, Schlumberger. I have been representing the company. I have been also part of a motion like this Chamber of Commerce of this program. I also have been really eager to show the world that female empowerment is really one of the future things that we really need to do. And I think that I have been also like you there sitting, listening somebody that can perhaps I can get something that I can apply to my life, or at least, or simply learn, or simply just know of. So I think that that's Maria.
That covers it. Thank you so much. I think when I was researching, the questions and what we're going to talk about yesterday, I felt that it was very logical that from graduating with a petroleum engineering degree, you would go to Schlumberger or BP or companies like that. What I was interested to know, and I think it would be interesting to know for our students on that table, that what was your part of your decision making to go to petroleum engineering? Was it in a family? How did you choose this profession?
Actually, it was family driven. This is my father is electronic engineer, so he was. I would like to have an engineer in the family. So here I am. Right? My mother is a nurse, so my other two sisters are in the humanitarian business, but I was the engineer of the family. And so he was a really like the right influence, like this is good. An inspiration, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of the person that says it is possible. It was possible for a female. Yes, it is possible. Why not? So kind of plant the seed. So he was the person that planted the seed. I, of course, took the decision, but the seed started from there and exploring it. And the second part is when I was in the university, I used to enter in every single conference that I could grasp, whatever topic it was. It doesn't matter, right? And that is also something that really
good strategy,
pushed me. Yeah, whatever, name it. I think I even entered to some on how the makeup is made or something like that. Just curiosity, right? And in one of the conferences, there was about the bacteria that eats the oil when there is spills in the water. And I said, so what about just a student petroleum engineer just to make sure that we can mitigate these issues that come from this type of industries, right? And that's why I started from there, right? It ended up very different now, but fine. That's more or less the story on how the inspiration came.
But that's very interesting, and interesting that you mentioned your father, because that means we all part of, we're not, we're trees with the roots and the environment around us, and we're influenced by that. And I think going to all the conferences is what I did as a student as well. So I think it's a good strategy, and for students as well. And I think I can see the results of the makeup conference that we made. I really like it. So just to kick off with other questions related to your professional life. You said that you started with internship with BP and Schlumberger, which, as we know, it's basically the first step to any career. When you were starting with Schlumberger or other internship, did you envisage yourself to be to come in a leadership position? How did you? Was it conscious that I will start here and I will go and will be managing director in Azerbaijan? Probably not, but. In terms of the level of the leadership, what was your imagination going into it?
I believe that as a student, and then I'm recently graduated, and this is something that happens to all of us, or most of us in reality, there is no such a vision of that. I think that you have this idea of who you will be like in 5 years or 10 years, just a kind of a professional or develop your career, but actually as a leader, no, it was not that part. I think that it was more something that came through the experience. Every step that you take, it gives you another door or opens another door, and then you see the world even bigger. Next step, you have another door, and then you see the world even bigger, and then you start like taking your decisions towards that. It was more in that sense. Actually, my idea when I started in this company, or when I started my career, was, okay, I will just work for 5 years, and then I will continue studying, right? Because I want to study, and I continue having careers and career another professional career, and then I do something else. But then again, when I started, then another door opened, and oh, I didn't know about this. And then you start changing your direction based on your experience. So that's basically what happened. Right?
Yeah, well, that's actually very typical. I think careers are more serendipitous that people realize, and every step gives you certain options, and based on those options, your next options change. So that's I think that's and thank you for being honest about it, because I think when this question is asked, sometimes people say that they envision themselves leaders from the moment they're born, but thank you for that. So that brings me to your next question. You said that every time you started a step, there will be a door open. And was there a situation where you had to raise your hand to kind of move up? Or was it, how was it in your experience moving up in the career ladder? Was it a situation where you said, okay, I can do this, and you raised your hand, or some other way?
That's actually a very good question. Very good
Thank
question. It's actually that doesn't come naturally to us at all. It's usually more, for me in this environment, it's usually more companies that they have certain maturity on gender diversity and inclusion or opportunities or career progression, or that push you rather than the person says, hey, you know. There are all types, right? I have a lot of colleagues that they have women and male. It's not a difference there. However, you really leverage in some companies or some organizations that they are mature on diversity and inclusion, and they push you even further, right? So in my case and own experience, it was more my openness to why not. I'm ready. Tell me what I can do, because for me, it's more, I will always say I cannot when I try. This is my view, not before. Like no, I don't think so. No, okay, let me try. I did it. I tried, right? So because of that, then there is also the cultural environment that pushed me, and then the two things kind of brought it together. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's interesting, because, you know, who doesn't know, Schlumberger is one of the largest oil and gas service providers in the world. And you guys, what's the percentage of females? I think it's majority male-dominated.
It's male-dominated, correct.
Fair to describe it that way,
correct,
right?
Correct.
So,
that's correct.
And that's probably a credit to Schlumberger that you felt supported in raising your hand. But how important was visibility of women in the same position, probably, or similar position? How important was that for your openness to say, why not?
Okay. So, very. But it was even more important that there was an environment to it.
Yeah.
And this is not only the responsibility of the organization, it's a responsibility of all of us that we belong to an organization, that we also create the environment for our colleagues, females and male, the right environment for them to also raise the hand and being able to say, I can do it, I want to do it, help me, and we listen and we follow, right? Yes, I have the luxury of being in one of the largest oil field providers, and now we are like in the energy industry, right? This is basically the future. Yes, definitely we have specific targets for female employment in the company. At the moment, globally, we are around 22%, but globally. Management is different. Senior management, we are around, at the moment, like 15, 16%. That's different, you know? But overall, we are close to. And our target is 30% by 2030. 30% by 2030, right? So
In the
let's say-
leadership, right?
in leadership.
Yeah.
So,
you get it.
so imagine that. So this is a very hard push, and yes, it means that the whole organization is pushing us through it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this is. I don't know if I answered your
Yes,
question.
you did. I think also it's a right point to make that yes, environment influences us, but we also have a opportunity and obligation to influence the environment as well,
Yeah.
not just for ourselves, but someone that comes after us. So not to paint the too rosy of a picture. If you feel comfortable, was there any a situation, an event, or period of time that you felt discouraged, or when you raised your hand, it didn't go through somehow, or you tried and it didn't work out? I think it's important for the younger generations to realize that not everything is working out, and the career progression is usually not like this, but maybe like a snake, a serpentine kind of road. If you feel comfortable, if you can tell a couple of words about that.
I will start very broad. Up and downs, everyone has, right? The downs, you usually think amazing things and crazy things. Yes. The ups, of course, as well. There were moments, definitely, where more than raise the hand or more than that things go my way, it was more, am I in the right place to do or to make sure that what I imagine of myself will happen? If I envision myself as a person that would like to study, like I said, 5 years and then study, right? Am I in the right place? Because it seems that this is the place where you can actually do a career inside instead of stop and then go out and do an university career or an additional career. So it was more like a moment of
Reflection.
a reflection. Discouragement is like in a lot of crisis moments. We all have crises and we have discouragement moments. I think that this I learned very early in my career. A discouragement moment is not a moment to decide.
Yeah.
It's a moment to just chew, reflect,
Acknowledge it.
and then after that, really I still think that, okay, then it's a moment to decide. But at that moment, it's not.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. I think there's a theory that in certain times in the career there are moments of discouragement or disillusionment, and those could be a test or a sign. So a test to power through, or a sign that maybe I'm not in the right place. But you cannot make that decision until you go through that moment.
Correct.
And so I think it's
Yes.
I had that as well. So I think it's very, very true. You cannot decide on those on those moments.
That's my view. That's my view as well. That's my view.
So I think more broadly, in your current role or previous roles, what is your source of, let's say, inspiration and energy, apart from being Colombian and drinking a lot of coffee?
Energizing. Coffee is energizing. Different.
I know.
Like chai here.
Ask anyone who knows me. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So what do you draw that? What is the source of that energy? It can be one place or many, or maybe it's just work itself.
I see it more personal,
Okay.
that question, and I think it's more humanity.
Yeah.
To be honest with all of you, right? It's amazing how you can go to a place or work in an office or in the field or in a well site or in a lab or any place, and you find so many talent around you, so many drivers around you, so many preferences. for me, that energizes me. It's like at this very moment, for example, I have the opportunity to have like what 35 words to my expense. If I just can go and talk to you, I will learn a lot. Yeah. Same as you. Is So for me, that is that's why I call it personal, because
human connection,
and the fact that I can learn something from you without even notice it, just by exchanging 3 words. So in the initial conversation, that's really. It sounds ideal, but it's not if you think really pay attention. When you pay attention, you have expense of 40 words here to be able to learn something. So that's my view on how that energizes me. Right? There is not a repetition. In my way of seeing life, there is no repetition. I can be with the same 30 people for 10 years, and if I ask the right questions, I have different answers. So that's my way to see.
So you can see them in a different light every time you talk to them.
It's kind of my way. I also push myself. It's not like that doesn't come. I'm not saying here, no. You have to push yourself. It's like, right. What else is in there? Yeah. The moment that you put somebody in a box, then you close the doors for you and for that person. It's better to be open and see what else is in there. It's more or less my view. Okay.
Yeah, and in addition, whenever you put people in the boxes, that usually doesn't fit, because people are not made in boxes.
Correct.
And we are whole human beings. Exactly. This is very interesting, and I think we talked about discouragement, but that's more of a kind of internal reflection. Again, if you feel comfortable, what kind of assumptions and or biases you faced? Because I imagine you, as a petroleum engineer, going to, I don't know, in the beginning of your career, doing very, very technical things with your hands. You're wearing a uniform, but that's how I imagine you. I hope you have a picture like that. With the hat and the boots, yes. That's how I imagine you in the beginning of your career. And I don't know, did they even have it in your size when you started? Because I had that issue once. I had to go to a client's office. They said, well, it's a safety issue, you need to wear with these boots, but they didn't have it in my size, so I had to have this very heavy boots. So what is the small moments that maybe in the beginning were, aha moments, like, they're not ready maybe for the woman engineer, or maybe I should raise this for them to be ready for that?
Actually, I have several stories, so I'll choose a few of them.
I'm sure.
20 years ago, oil industry is not like the industry that we have today. Let's start from there, okay? And 20 years ago, I started in Oklahoma, United States, which is the really core center of oil, very, ancient from that side. So for sure, the way that people thought in the oil industry was completely, for that time, let's call it like that, right? And I will tell you one of the stories. Actually, a Schlumberger was very good in the sense of preparation of your outfit or everything, everything as per our policies it has to be right. So that part, it was all nice, okay?
Size was not an issue.
Size was not an issue, hard hat, everything ready, okay? But the first time that I went to one of these well sites, I was a trainee, and when I stepped myself in the well site, there is the rig floor, the rig, big rig on the floor, and our equipment, we call it pumps, pipings, is always in the floor, in the sand, and then the rig floor is on the top. And then you enter, and then you present yourself to the owner of the site, or the chief, let's say, and he told me, and you come to what? Like that. So I said, I am the engineer trainee, I come to the job. I said, let's see if the crew is going to accept you. Okay, fine. What is the test? I didn't know what you're talking about, no? And when I step outside, the rig crew was on the floor looking at me, and they were literally shouting, dry well, there is a woman in the well site, the well will be dry if she comes up. So, bad luck. I was bad luck. They didn't have a woman in the rig in a long time, or maybe ever.
Ever, yeah. Did they have oil in the beginning?
Sorry?
They had oil?
Don't worry, yes,
Yeah,
I checked,
okay.
and then after that was good. But that was one of them. So, you see, this is a different industry. Here you have less and less, but I imagine that there is more sites somewhere in a country where there is just starting, perhaps it's the same, we don't know. But we have gained a lot. But that's one of the stories. That you encounter this type of beliefs, right?
Assumptions, yeah.
And there are a lot.
Yeah.
There were a lot at the beginning of my career, yes.
It didn't help that they didn't have. I wonder if they changed their views after you've been there and they found oil. I don't know.
Maybe.
Have you met them again?
The thing is that they never let me go to the rig, though,
okay,
you know?
okay.
So I just have to look at them from below. So maybe they said, because we didn't let her in, that's why the well is producing.
When unconscious bias like that, they will always have a justification for it.
Exactly.
I'm sure. Well, now that you are leader, having gone through those experiences, do you have a style you could describe? Is it one style, or is it depend with whom you are speaking to? Because you are leader, vis-a-vis your clients, you are leader vis-a-vis your team, you are leader vis-a-vis your community. So we wear different leader hats. Mm-hmm. Did you think about it? Did you reflect about the style?
I actually think that you can answer this question in many ways, because there are several theory. The theory tells you about 11 styles according to this type of research, 17 styles about this other type of research, 3 according to this course or this training, like a different. I can tell you that if I would choose one that I apply for myself, or the type that I apply, is one that composed of 3 things mainly. First of all, I am a team member, like the other parts of my team. But my role, a specific role when I am a leader, is I am in charge of removing the roadblocks for my team members to achieve something. But what is what they need to achieve? That vision, I need to put them in their eyes, because they need a clear vision. Mm-hmm. So those 3 things. First, like I said, I am a team member. I am in charge of removing the roadblocks for a vision that I have to put them in their minds. Mm-hmm. That is kind of my leadership style, right? So then you will see more collaboration rather than managing or mandate. Mm-hmm. And then you will see more, what are your skills? What is what you like? What are you better? What do you need to get better? And then kind of fit on the purpose, and then make them improve. It's that style. That would be my
Do you find it effective?
So far, yes.
Okay,
so
good.
far, yes. Also a good question. Depending on the project, this could be a slow pace. Okay. You're right. Completely agree with you. There are some other projects that you will need a different style, and then you need to adjust yourself and, get the best of you on this one, but then push on the other way. In general, that's mine, just to answer your question, but you are completely spot on the question. Is it effective? It depends on the project, definitely. Other projects will need more traction, different push, different, but that's more or less my essence. Yeah.
Do you, and I hate to sound stereotypical, but do you find that a certain characteristics or traits that are associated with women, do you find it useful in your leadership, or do you find it a bit, maybe you would put it aside, you would put it in the home for the time being?
I actually...
teamwork, I think it's very female.
But I researched this once, actually, because I could not believe that there is a difference really between man and female. If I want to believe that we all are capable to do everything, then there should be no difference, right? Any woman can do this and any male can do this. But when I checked, there are very different that they found even by investigations, or even Harvard made a study as well, right? Women are more organized,
True that.
more focused on details, they develop more empathy, they are better listeners, like in general. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
like
that's a
all of
generalization.
us are
Yeah.
like that, right? So with those characteristics, then definitely you need this profile in your organization, because then you will have a good balance of a male who they have also great qualities, like they are more practical, more
Assertive.
straightforward,
Yeah.
exactly, assertive, and they are definitely like a kind of more focused on results, let's say. So those are kind of statistics of 40-60. It's not like a 20-90,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
20-80. So that's something that you just pay attention and say, yeah, you're right, I have some of them, and definitely I can contribute. So yeah, I find them useful and I apply, and I think that that's as a female statistic, let's say, on our qualities, I think that I contribute to some of those for the company, for the leadership part, for the other employees as well.
Yeah. Excellent. I think that's an important point that you're making. It's the idea, or the goal is not to have all female leaders. The goal is to bring the best of leadership styles from both genders or all genders to complement each other, right? So sometimes, as you said, on a certain projects you need to emphasize certain other qualities, while in slow-paced projects you can emphasize others. So that also means that as leaders we constantly evolve and try to be versatile. So that's an important point that you're making. Thank you. Well, we have female students, younger professionals. Do you have any message to next generation? Well, it does not have to be something grand, but some piece of advice, a tip or two that you could give.
There was one tip that I was given early in my career, and it helped me a lot, and it's called, this is not a destination, it's a journey. So when you have a vision in your head, I want to be, I don't know, let's say the CEO of a company, right? You have that vision in your head. Yes, it's nice that you have that and you prepare yourself for that, experience things, learn from others. However, again, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Meet the people around you. Have fun. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Look into on the side. Not only look, if you go, like my grandma used to say, if you continue looking just up, 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 then your eyes will stay there and
You'll trip.
exactly,
You'll trip.
So just look at your surroundings and enjoy. Enjoy what you are doing today. So you learn today for that person tomorrow that you have in the future, or in your vision, right? So again, it's very generic, but I think it's the only one that I have always tried to apply, just to be able to learn a lot today and experience a lot today, and then get what we need from the future.
That's generic for a reason, because that's very good advice, I think. I think with this, I will open to the questions, the floor. I don't know if you have a microphone there. If not, let's give it to you. No, nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Please, thank you.
I'll stand because without microphone. First of all, thanks very much for being such an interesting interviewer. Maria, thank you very much for your inspiring stories. It's really interesting to hear, not only to the women audience, but to the men as well.
Of course.
So my question is, you mentioned that your organization has a kind of target or plan to have like certain percentage of the women in the company and so on. What your organization is doing specifically local Azerbaijani market to have this target on, and I would be more interested not to hear figures that, financial manager, HR manager, but more like positions who are really doing this oil stuff. Do you do something like, how do you develop the new talents, like ladies and so on? Could you please tell us?
Okay, for sure. So I think that everything that the Schlumberger does globally, and that I have shared the figures on 30% by 2030, applies to us. It means that we are also already have the vision and the target where we want to go as a company, right? In Azerbaijan, I think that we have a very great female talent. In fact, Azerbaijan is one of the countries that they have bigger female diversity in the whole world. When you compare with other countries, and we are compared, let me tell you, we have at the moment 19% female. It's embedded in everything that we do, socially wise, and also recruiting wise, and our targets. Now, I am not close to any other opportunity. When Sibar talked to me about this one, and then I talked to Ulbia, for me it was a very good idea. The only way to reach people is to share that they are females, that they could do this. And when I see colleagues, females, in a very high positions as well in Azerbaijan, it's really inspiring. And then we can just get together and then just go and share our stories, or even just try to talk to the ladies one-to-one in events. It doesn't have to be a big thing. So every single thing that we do, we plant a seed and we continue, right? So then, summary, we have the targets, we apply them from global to Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is one of the ones that they have biggest in the world as well. Remember, the world today, we are at the moment like in 19, so it means that we are one of the tops. When we talk about 17, this is high, because there are places where are 12, 10, really low. So this is good. And then for sure, social events, is working with the schools and working with the female students and teachers. That's important. That's so far what we do. Okay.
Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Madova, student from French Azerbaijan University. My specialty is science engineer. I would like to ask you, would you choose another life path if you had a second chance? Like not being petroleum engineer, but another specialty?
Oh my God.
That's deep. That's deep.
Very deep, very good one. Would I choose a different one? Very interesting. I think probably yes. To be honest. Why? I will tweak a little bit your question. If I know what I know today, right, I would choose something that will help this industry for the future, which is sustainability, new energy. You know? If I didn't know what I know today, no. I think that I would do exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because really, this is the biggest challenge that the industry today has, is to transition to, literally like the movies, saving the planet, for sure. We all believe this, right? Yeah. So if I know what I know today, definitely, I will try to choose something that will contribute to that more. Perhaps the same, but take it a little bit different roads, you know what I mean? But if I don't know what I know today, I will choose, I think, the same so far. Yeah. Very good questions, very good, very good.
Yes, please, yes.
My name.
Yes.
So, good morning. First of all, thank you for the event, because I really believe that we need to really have more kind of things so women can talk together and inspire young generation. Just to give you a small background, I'm from oil and gas service company from Beirut. So everything you're talking about really resonates with me. And while we were talking, you were talking about the leadership. And you mentioned that one of the most important things while being a leader is to give this vision to your people. However, and I also face with that sometimes, that yes, we have to have this vision. However, we need to have a clear understanding of that vision ourselves, in order that people around us just feel that and follow us. So in times when we don't have a clear understanding of the vision, or let's say we have a vision which was provided by the top management in the company, and we have to follow that, but we don't feel aligned with that, or we don't understand something, so what to do in that case?
Okay, very good. Also very good question. This is clearly, I will give you an example of 2020 with the pandemic. Okay? So we were we were asked to our managers, or we were asking our managers or our leaders, how are we going to be in 2 years? What do you expect me to do if we don't know how the pandemic will develop, right? Or we don't know how the world looks like, right? And I think that it was very helpful that we actually draw what we need, or how do we see ourselves in 2 years, right? With the little information that we know, it doesn't matter, okay? So I believe that for us, it was it was an exercise that was actually happened, and it was very useful, right? We have from the top a mandate or a vision, and then as a leader, we have to translate to our people. What you can do is ask for that translation, and don't be shy on asking for that translation. I think that people in Azerbaijan are eager to make questions. I have 400 people in Azerbaijan that they ask a lot of questions. And I'm trained for questions, so that's why. So I think that what you need to do is that, and you ask for that drawing. How does it look like? Whatever it is, you will adjust that drawing, definitely, because life is not static, situation is not static. Pandemic, look, so we control it right now. We are vaccinated, the vaccine is on, okay, good, so it's working. It could have not worked, so then you will have to adjust. Ask for that translation without hesitation. Translate to me, fine, I understand what my leadership at the top says, but tell me what is it in for me? Translate it for myself. What is it? Your leader, your immediate leader, that's our job. Translate it for you. And even build it with yourselves. Or even you can propose. Let's build it together. Can we just all get together and draw it? How does it look like for us? Believe me, you will answer the question of the 90% of your team without noticing. Because maybe you are the only one who dares to ask. Okay? So that will be my advice. I don't know if that would help, but that's my way to tell you to do.
And if we talk about more personal life, again, even in personal life, we have a mission, and then we start to build a vision. And
correct.
It's not just something like, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a CEO in 5 years, but it's about how you're going to be that.
How you can, exactly.
So the most difficult part is to build that vision in order to proceed with next step. So how do you usually do it this way? Any advices on that?
I think that this is actually very, very natural for any human being, really, if you think about it. When you have something in your mind, what you usually do is, okay, that lady CEO or that male CEO, what did he do? He studied, he has a master, he did this. Okay, do I want to do this? No, maybe. Okay, maybe no, I don't want a master. Okay, fine. You want, his experience, he has done this and this other job. Okay, maybe I can apply. Then you check, what are the things he's trained in this other discipline, he has traveled this. Oh, what can I do to get there, examples, talking to them, checking the biographies. It's very natural the way that we search.
Finding the role models.
Finding the role models. The role models, I think, is very important. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody else is already there. So let's hear them from there. How can they help us, right? Yes, there are other methods, of course. Your own. No, but I want to be one that, besides being the chief, has also touch with the people. So then for me, it's training on HR mainly because I want to be a CEO expert in HR. So then you adjust yours. But I think role models I really believe in role models. I had many, and I think this is really the ones that they guide me to what I wanted to be. So that's also in the personal side. No, thank you for the question.
I think that's, yes, please.
Yeah, sure. I was hoping more younger generation asking more questions. It seems that you answered mostly all of them at this stage. My question is more on the leadership side, globally, and the way we see the diversity, and it seems to be the question that is recognized everywhere already. At least everyone recognizes it verbally, that this diversity needs to be achieved. And in the most developed economies, of course, this is put even percentage-wise. That strikes me as a bit artificial. And I read a lot of experts who somehow share my concerns, saying that once we reach this percentage, that will be it, and there will be no further push or further growth. So it will not come naturally. Although I recognize that we need to do, at this stage of the development, we need to put certain targets so that the process starts moving. However, statistics are not they're improving globally, but they are not very reassuring in terms of the trends and the pace. And I was wondering how you see the picture and why you think there is this lack of pace, I would say, from women became more visible on the level of senior management and throughout the world, actually, no matter which sector. Do you see it more coming from? Are there any blocking points you see on the women's side? Well, not all of women want to become CEO.
Correct.
Of course, there are different choices, and they might be very happy where they are. They don't want to grow, and somehow some of the organizations are actually pushing those women to grow, and a bit even faster in the pace of their development. So sometimes they reach a certain level, a bit pushed, not really ready for that. And they're losing this confidence because they put in an environment that they're not yet ready to be. And that makes them, take a step back and probably not to move any further. But do you see also the hesitation at the women's side, not being very proactive? Everyone talks about empowerment, lots of events, lots of conferences, too much of information. But the reality of the statistics, the results, are not really reflecting the process, or not fully reflecting the process. So where do you see the main blocking point? Well, definitely not from the male CEOs or the male management side, because for them this is now an objective, and maybe at least on the paper or declared. So do you see it still on that side, or more on the women's side, or what?
Okay. Great question as well. Very good. I see it from the way that we are raised and what we choose to be. Completely agree. When we recruit people and they are females, usually their tendency is to definitely prioritize family. That's what we have. I share that as a fact, not only in Azerbaijan. It's not a matter of Azerbaijan. I was a recruiter when I already 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I was a recruiter of Peru, Colombia, Ecuador. So I'm talking about 3 other cultures, if you think about it. And the main roadblock, as you mentioned, was I don't want to be that. I want to have a family, and because I want to prioritize family, please give me a chance of a part-time job. Give me a chance of another position that is not so high, that is not so demanding, that I could actually balance my life with the work, right? So, yes, I see it more from ourselves. Majority of ourselves will like something that is more balanced rather than I want to be the top of the top, right? And definitely, companies push harder because of that number that you talk about. So my view is, even if culturally we would like to have this type of balance and this type of opportunities, I think that the industries are doing what they can, which is volume. Let's recruit females to see who can have, first of all, this type of selection of career preferences in this type or this other. Second, let's see as well if by evolution we can find other options, part-time, other way of work, right? And let's also see if perhaps maybe with volume, with more females, we also have from themselves the voice that we need to develop programs for themselves, you know, because that's the other issue. We need to use at the moment, we have 2-3 executives in Schlumberger that they are building this program. Before that was built by males. So that's the thing. So all of those points, I think they are contributing, but yes, if I find a roadblock across the whole process, recruiting, universities, our own programs, development is our preferences that we want to balance, and we have not found the kind of, how you say it, the full solution yet for that. There has not been, these industries are not prepared for part-time or this type of, not yet. I think we will get there with the help of more of us thinking how to do it, but it's definitely from our side. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's exactly it. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yes, it is. Yes.
2 days ago. And the findings show that it's only 19% in Azerbaijan, women among the CEOs.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 90% covering the CEO position.
Yeah.
In Azerbaijan,
That
and
makes sense.
profile the figures.
It's not bad. It's not bad, exactly.
It's almost the same figures, yeah, so not so bad, but again, yeah,
Again.
not,
Correct.
it could be more.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the reason is probably the one you mentioned, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Started from the environmental positions because of other priorities.
It's other priorities, yes. And I think as I told you, I personally, I have no kids. My kid is my golden retriever dog. That's my kid, okay? But I do believe I was not, like I told you, I was not from the very beginning thinking about being in a leadership position. That didn't happen. As you rightfully said, companies set up certain things, environment, to make sure that I could say, is it possible? Yes, it is, right? But that doesn't mean that we all want that. And this is not anymore, this question that you are asking is more revolutionary. It's not anymore static. It's the right question, because it's not anymore about females. It's about inclusion. Any male would like to want the same. Why not more life balance? Why I don't go to the Everest 3 times a year and then the rest of the time I work? Why not? No, I'm talking, you see, and that inclusion part is what I think we are getting to, but not there yet. We are just exploring it for male and female. It's not exclusive.
Absolutely, I think it's about changing the culture, not pushing every woman that you have to become
Correct.
one or
Correct.
up to the CEO level. It's really that you can, if you want,
Uh-huh.
you can be there.
Exactly.
And then it's your choice. Whether
I agree.
you want to get there or you don't want to.
I agree.
So once this culture and this understanding is put across, then I think it will naturally emerge.
Exactly.
It's a culture of the choice, I think. Sorry, my
Yeah.
name is Tatiana Mikhailova. I'm the founder of the Azerbaijan Business Women.
Okay.
And I'm in diversity and inclusion for 12 plus years. So
Oh, good. We have.
She's a veteran.
This is more than gender diversity. I'm working with all levels, including autistic spectrum kids, etc. Because this is what I'm mastering for. Not only 50-50, but having really the diverse boards which are bringing all the different angles. Okay. But when it comes back again to the women and the girls, which is like, my biggest passion, and I've been seeing lots of the stories, okay? And I've been working for the employers, and I particularly was demoted, not officially, because I had 2 bad pregnancies with scavengers. And my employer said that, unfortunately, you're trying for the baby, yeah, we see it, but you won't be able to do the stuff we wanted you to do. And this is how I was stuck, until now still existing. But what I'm saying is that the women and the girls needs to have a choice, and the corporations needs to show them that the choice is there. We are working, and we are closely working with one of the leading institutions, Pasha Bank, and several people know. And thanks to Sona, who was supporting that program when she was in communication there. And right now, this institution is struggling with women who don't want to move further.
but because probably sometimes the leadership doesn't show them that the choice is there. I mean, the leadership wants them, they want it. In the middle, there is don't want to show that, okay, there is a match. And coming back to the 20% of the figures in the commercial industry, look at the government. We have all black ties. Look at the pictures. We don't have women in the government. What we're talking about. So, like, you know, this is the thing which we need to show.
But is this because of the glass ceilings or the priorities of choice?
Well, first of all, what we are promoting in general. Do we promote the education as a number one priority? To me, education is number one for the woman, for the girls, for her financial sustainability in the future. If the woman does have the financial sustainability, she does have a choice. Then she can do anything. She can stick to the family, doesn't stick to the family, go to Himalayas or wherever it is. Take the what do you call it, sabbatical leave, which is very popular with the men right now because they do have that luxury.
Well, it's interesting point that I think Maria made, Tatiana. It's very good you're pointing that out. I think is it part of the women not stepping up? Is the fact that people on the top work so hard, overwork themselves, so they don't allow themselves to, I don't know, take a break, go to Everest or whatever. So when it's not appealing, when you look up, you say, well, I don't want that. So if those programs that you said that the Schlumberger is now designed by women, if that trickles down, maybe men will feel a bit free too to take, maybe they want to, but they feel like they cannot take those breaks because of all the same pressures that the women have that you should prioritize a family. The same a pressure on a man could be that, oh, you cannot prioritize a family because that's the culture. You need to be at work 24/7. So it's, I think I would agree with what Tebe said. It's cultural and it's all interlinked. And whenever women step back, men step up, so that it's whole. Whenever you kind of, the balance it will be there when women step back, the men would step forward. And maybe, I don't know, if the culture change and the nature of the work changes, in a sense that would allow men to take more breaks, which would allow their partners to take more, time at work as well, because someone has to do the family thing. And that usually fall on the woman. It's a bit long way of saying it, but sorry.
But I totally agree. I think glass ceiling is not there anymore. So we have to stop talking about glass ceiling. It's really about changing the culture and changing also the cultural approach that, women are expected to do everything. You have to build your career, you have to have a family, you have to perform as a mother, you have to
On a perfect level every day, yeah.
Employee, so a lot of pressure. Glass ceiling is not there. I mean, this was there 20 years ago, maybe. But I believe that it's not anymore.
But locally it is stable.
I
mean, locally, because when we are upstairs, and you are upstairs, very high, when we are upstairs, we unfortunately don't see it lots of the times what is below there. And it's still there in the companies, whether we want it or not.
I don't think it's put on purpose, those glass ceiling. I think this is what Ria is saying, this lack of, everyone is talking about, yes, we want more women in the leadership and we want to promote them and we need that. But then the situation and actually the way the organization is properly structured is not allowing a lot of women to actually move easily, or it requires much more efforts on their side. So some of them are just, making a different choice. But per se, the glass ceiling is not there. I mean, I don't see any organization nowadays that have two candidates, women and men, and give a preference to a man on purpose because it's a male and we don't want to see women. It's not that anymore. It's just not, there are not many women candidates coming up on the table.
It's a pipeline issue, yeah.
I see them dragged, by the management because they want to have this diversity. They want to have this choice. And sometimes those women are not ready. So if I'm there, if I have to take this role, I have to give up on certain things. I have to give up on my time with my kids, with my family, on myself personally. So it's always a choice and compromise that women has to make. And some of them that are making those choices they either regret it or they then refrain from the next step. You know, they said, okay, I stay here because, you know, I already sacrificed a lot. I don't want any more sacrifices. So I just stay here. So the management's really struggling. They want to drag women. You know, they don't have those choices because the rules of the games are not the same for everyone, as exactly you said.
It's also the numbers game too, right? When you have fewer women in the workforce in general, you have a smaller pool from which you can choose people who could go up, right? And also, I mean, let's not forget the systemic issues that we have. Childcare, it's important for the women advancement. No one is talking about that. It's either non-existent or inaccessible or expensive, in my experience. So I think as a society, those support systems have to be there for us to realize, is it a choice issue or they just don't want to? Because you don't really feel like you have a choice when you don't have, you know, a place to put your kids, right? And so it's a society-wide issue. But I really want to say to Tatiana that I really don't like the cabinet of ministers entirely, man. I mean, it drives me crazy. And there's only one woman, and she's in charge of women and family issues, so they couldn't put a man there.
Well, it's not even the minister.
Yeah, exactly. No.
We keep hoping that it will be turned to the ministry.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's never transferred to the ministry.
Exactly. So 50% of population, issues of 50% of the population is not worth of having a ministry level. Please.
At some point, just wanted to kind of share with you that Eva said that 20 years ago there was a glass ceiling. So what we have today, that the removal of this glass ceiling is already showing us that it's working. But as you very rightly said earlier, it's a journey. So if today we already removed the glass ceiling, so then the new issues have come to face, and only thanks to the fact that we don't have these glass ceilings. So for me, it's very exciting and very reassuring because it's like game levels. We have already passed the level 1, so we're on the next level.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes. So that's why what we're discussing today maybe would not be possible 20 years ago. They would say, thank God that I'm giving you this opportunity. Today we are talking, yes, opportunity is there, but I need more diverse, I need more balance. I need to be able to raise my child, or to look after my golden, or look after my husband, who is also a child, and you know that. So, but that's good. What I am seeing, like, this is, yes, I wish we could have been doing better, but that's where it's great to be on the position that, yes, we passed one way, we are going to another way, and today, of course, we are just now dealing with other issues, and then 10 years, who knows, 10 years later, we will be solving these issues, and we'll be thinking how to kind of make your facial during the work and just be, just happy. So that's good. What I'm saying is, and thanks for the people like here who were pushing it from different directions. We are here today, and these beautiful young ladies will start it from another level and take us further. That's
an excellent closing.
Thank you so much, Maria. I'll let you and myself go and get some breakfast, and please stay, talk to each other. You know, you can mingle on the tables, and if you want to, approach me or Maria one-to-one to ask a question, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.